You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
What a wonderful world.
It's always asked, where's the evidence or where's the beef? This is a very important thing for the public to understand. How do you keep something secret? You hide it in plain sight. Well, welcome to today's workshop. This is going to be a focus on really what I call the transdimensional sciences of the next millennium. What does this mean? Well, it means that everything is awake. Everything has within its structure an element of this non-local consciousness, mind that isn't bound to 3D space-time. And so non-locality is something that began to be talked about by physicists, and then there was a medical doctor, a man that I actually met once, and he wrote a wonderful book called Recovering the Soul. And there was all these accounts of scientists and also lay people finding that the mind and thought was always an omnipresent field and could have effects, whether it was like an intercessionary prayer for someone, you know, one person would be in Europe, the other person in Hawaii, and they would have an effect, et cetera, and so on. Or they would take saliva, which has, you know, your white blood cells in it, and they take it, you know, to another continent, keep it alive in a petri dish, and they would put electrodes, and those white blood cells would register when the person had an emotional reaction to something consistently, even though it was out of their body. Cool. I mean, this is the really cool stuff. So,
my name is Carol Rosen. I'm an educator who became the first woman corporate manager of an aerospace company, Fairchild Industries. When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Wernher von Braun gave me the assignment of preventing the weaponization of outer space from happening, but what he said to me over and over again was that his real concern, his greatest concern, was about psychotronic weapons.
did he discuss what those were?
No. He didn't discuss what they were, but he repeated over and over to me that this was the real concern. This is what we should really be concerned about. But he would add, the public, however, won't understand that yet. So let's just call for the ban on space-based weapons. That can be understood, it can be measured, it can be done. And once you have a ban on space-based weapons, you've put a lid on the arms race. People have become aware, they've become connected consciously, and they will begin to understand that there are alternatives. But his real concern, the biggest concern he had, was about the psychotronic weapons. Those are mind-controlled weapons, mind-controlled people or technology. Very dangerous weapons.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Tonight I want to welcome Roger Tolsis, and he's a private investigator, owner of Advanced Electronic Security Company, and supporter of the targeted individual community.
Point. So, yeah. But you know, directed energy weapon systems are the choice of the black ops community now, and like I was saying before, what they do is they go and get your garbage in front of your house and get your DNA. And then once they've got your DNA sequence, they can then go to a supercomputer and they can biocode directed energy attacks that will only go and bioresonate with your body. So that three people can be standing right next to you and nobody's going to feel the harassment except you, because these signals are biocoded to your body's tuning only. And then they can send down V2K, they can send down any symptom they want, because they're in full control of the bioresonance of your bioenergy.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And the last one is, this could be stupid. First of all, I find it very disheartening that you say they can just go out to your trash, which of course we all put out overnight for the trash man to pick up, that they can get our DNA. So my question is there any way you can fool them from using your DNA as their little, system to find you, like, I don't know, a cat sleeping on your stomach? I mean, some other form of DNA around you to throw them off? Is that a weird question?
No, there's no way that I know of. Just if you want to do the best you can, just take your trash from the bathroom and get rid of it some other way, and not in your trash outside your house.
So there's no way to fool the DNA with some other DNA.
Once they have the DNA, it's done.
Done. Okay. Thank you.
This is a very important thing for the public to understand. How do you keep something secret? You hide it in plain sight. Or they would take saliva, which has, your white blood cells in it.
The public, however, won't understand that yet.
Once they have the DNA, it's done.
This is a very important thing for the public to understand. How do you keep something secret? You hide it in plain sight.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was. Look again.
This is a very important thing for the public to understand. How do you keep something secret? You hide it in plain sight. Or they would take saliva, which has, your white blood cells in it.
The public, however, won't understand that yet.
Once they have the DNA, it's done.
This is a very important thing for the public to understand. How do you keep something secret? You hide it in plain sight.
Ну, образа-то ладно. Вы знаете, что биологический материал собирается по всей стране. Причем по разным этносам и людям, проживающим в разных географических точках Российской Федерации. Вот вопрос, вот это зачем делают? Делают целенаправленно и профессионально. Ну, мы такой вот объект очень большого интереса.
This is a very important thing for the public to understand. How do you keep something secret? You hide it in plain sight.